Good morning, wherever you are. It's time for the Monday Minute. I'm Christian Paul. I hope you all had a great weekend. As usual, we have Jan joining us on the Monday Minute again this morning. What are we going to talk about today? First off, pardon the noise in the background. That's the office air conditioner. It was a bit balmy in here when I got here this morning. It was in the 90s on Saturday, so hot stuff. And I'm sure it was in other parts of the country also. Anyway, what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about KEWAUNEE County Jail. Where do I start? Well, first off, we were joined by some good friends of ours, Jamie and Hannah. I was very happy to see both of them, as I hadn't seen them in a while. As you may or may not recall, they did an investigation with us at Waushara County Jail, and it turned into a very good and fruitful investigation. And I'm hoping that this one will turn out the same. Both of these girls, now don't take offense now, but I call them girls because they're definitely younger than I am. So don't take offense to that, ladies. Okay? I just want to nip anything in the bud right away on that. Okay. We had gone to this location. This is in KEWAUNEE, Wisconsin. Now, I'm sure many of you are going, where the hell is that? All right. KEWAUNEE, roughly, how can I put this? I'm sure 99% of the country is aware of the Green Bay Packers. All right, KEWAUNEE is as far north, roughly, as Green Bay, but directly east on the banks of Lake Michigan. Originally, this was a heavily forested area in the state, so KEWAUNEE had a big business in exporting timber way back then. Now the surrounding areas, a lot of farm fields, a lot of farms. After the wood all got exported, you got to do something with that land, right? So the land was good for farming, and that's what it is today. KEWAUNEE is not necessarily a big community. I didn't pay attention to the population of sign as I rolled into town, but I would classify it as a small city. Bigger than a village, but a small city. Anyway, let's go back to the jail. I did post up a picture on the page, and I'm going to see actually if I can pull this up on my computer, because I didn't pay attention to if there's a date on the sign here. No, there's no date. Sorry. Anyway, 1800s for sure. Now, I will give you one caveat before we get into things today. There is no restroom in this facility. None. Now, Dennis and I did not really have an issue with this, even though it is located right next to the sheriff's department, the courthouse, and the jail that is currently in use. It's all like on the same block, bigger, obviously, but the women on the crew that evening had to make a stop like 2 blocks away to use any facilities. So obviously, this place had an outhouse back in the day, I'm sure. If you know anything about old time jails, at least in the Midwest, in small towns, it was very common for the sheriff and the sheriff's family to live in the front part of the building, and the jail was out back. Generally speaking, on the ones we've been to recently, well, relatively recently, Waushara, which is in Waushara County, in the city of Wautoma, or the Blackford County Jail, which is in Hartford City, Indiana. They've all got, 4 cells. Waushara maybe had 6, maybe. Um, the one in Globe. Good morning, Hannah. Good to see you this morning. I love it. Good morning, Jamie. The one in Globe, Arizona, definitely had 6, maybe 8. Now that I'm thinking about it, but the same kind of setup. The sheriff and his family would live in the front of the jail, and the cells would be out and back of the jail. So that'll give you an idea on how these places were set up. But KEWAUNEE is the only one we have been to so far that does not have a restroom. It just wasn't designed for it, I guess. And as time went, I guess it was never a consideration. All right, so that's for all my girlfriends out there. That's the update on that. If you're going to go there, I do recommend going there. By the way, as investigations go, it is inexpensive compared to some of the locations that we've hit. We had 5 of us. It was $200, so it was basically $40 a piece. Can't argue with that. But I'm also going to say this is a small location with small rooms. I strongly discourage going there with more than 5, 6 people. It's just not big enough for that. Okay. No, if you're going to do a prison, Joliet, Moundsville, I could rattle off a few more. You want to go with 10 people? That's up to you. I strongly discourage that also, but that's for a different reason. Okay, so I digress here. I'm getting on a tangent here. When you go to Kewaunee County, you do have access to the basement, the full first floor, and the full second floor. Now, we do have all of our cameras downloaded, Dennis and I. Dennis ran 3 cameras yesterday. I ran 6, 4 body cams, 1 full spectrum, and 1 Sony IR that I took stills with. Everything's downloaded, so as in most locations, review is going to take a little bit, but we are going to be putting up clips as we go, as we find things, and I got a hunch. I got a hunch we're going to find things. Another curious thing on this investigation, and Dennis and I had discussed this within the last, let me look at the time here, within the last hour, actually. Dennis's son Jake was along with us over the weekend, and there were times we had a lot of activity on the K2, the REM pod, the cat balls, and Dennis and I discussed this morning. The last time Jake was with us, we had the same experience, and that was in Jericho. I don't know if you've been to Jericho or not. It's another church, convent, school setup run by a Catholic order. I do recommend that location. That location was also a very active location for us. So we started this investigation back in the jail. We were accompanied by a former KEWAUNEE area officer, which had an inner ear injury at one point in time. So he's got a little bit of a equilibrium problem, I guess. But that was the docent at the jail that evening. He asked us if he could tag along, I guess, rather than sit in the little office team room area. And of course, he was more than welcome. He did not get in the way. He was quiet, good guy. You can work with him. I don't know what the other docents there are like or how many they have, but I recommend checking it out. Okay. Back in the jail part, we had set up multiple cameras. One part of the jail, there were 2 suicides. One was in 1958. Jamie, Hannah, correct me if I'm wrong. The other suicide was in 1918, I think we were told. So anyway, those were areas we definitely wanted to work. And it was 6 in Washara. Okay. Yes, I am going to get to that, Jamie. And Hannah, thank you. Yes, Washara was 6 cells. Okay. I lost track of thought. REM pod, cameras, REM pod, tri-field meter, K2. We had a lot going on those for a little while. We played that out. Had body cams going. I have a hunch we probably got some interaction on the body cams. We never know till we download. I'll tell you, there have been locations that Dennis and I thought were relatively quiet, and we were gladly surprised once we did review. You could see a lot of those clips on our YouTube channel. Get over there, give them a like. Please sub. It just takes you a second to click. I know you're looking. I can see by the amount of views some of these videos get, but give an old man a break. Give us a like. It really helps that algorithm a lot. Okay. So anyway, our docent Brian stayed out of the way, but did watch and did answer questions as we asked. So shout out to Brian. He was our docent for the evening. We worked that area for a while. I will say it was pretty warm in this place. The sun was beating down on the location all day. It was not a cloudy day, so it had to be in the 80s in there for sure. We took a break after that. Secondly, we kind of worked an upstairs area for a while that day. I don't remember the exact order of when we did certain things. I'm always the straggler behind, always, whether it be on our private investigations or whether it be on ghost tours. I mean, if you check out, what's a good example? If you check out the videos from the Cuban Club in Ybor City, Florida, 3 videos out of that location, and that was a ghost tour. Okay, that was not a private investigation. That was a ghost tour. I straggled behind. I let the tour go that way. I went that way, and it was a very, very productive evening in Ybor City. If you get down to Ybor, what's Ybor City? Ybor City is the old Cuban section of Tampa. Okay, very historical. Uh, a lot of neat little shops, and this was like the cigar making capital of America at the time. What could go wrong? I've lit that up enough times. I'm not going to do that. I am not going to do that. But yeah. Anyway, I did hang out back in the cells after everybody left for a few minutes. Asked a few questions on the DR60. Did get some responses. Now I will say the DR60 is not downloaded as of yet. Downloading a DR60 is not like downloading a camera. This is, mid 90s technology. I got to do that a little different. It's time consuming. I'll get to that. Pardon me, allergies. One night this week, I'm sure. Okay. There was a time later on that we had worked up. There is a bedroom upstairs, front of the building, right hand side, that Brian had some interesting stories of activity. So we had worked that for a while. Uh, all the time since we started up, I had already had a body cam sitting on a little shelf up there and a couple of cat balls out just in a random spot here and there just to see what we caught when we weren't in the area. We did get a few things up there as a group, although I didn't think that much. But that doesn't mean anything because those body cams have surprised me more than once. Okay. After we worked that area, everybody went back downstairs. Of course, I was straggling behind. I was straggling behind again. Pardon this internet. Yeah, Hannah, you and me both. You and me both for sure. Everybody went downstairs, and I went into this one room. They called it their religious room, as I recall. because it had some artifacts of more of a religious connotation, which is fine. Everybody went downstairs. I took a little detour to that room. That room is second floor, left side, the room toward the top of the stairs. Me, body cams, DR60, and I brought along one K2. Through the course of maybe a 10-15 minute time slot, that K2 pegged in the red a few times. Now, I did check to make sure that my phone was not too close to it, because we know what a phone can do on a K2 sometimes. I did my little experiment with the phone. No, that was not the case. Again, answers on the DR60. So I'm really curious to see what the body cams picked up on that. I did take a trip into the basement. The whole group went down in the basement without me. I'm not complaining about that. Now, don't get me wrong here. Brian was giving a little tour of the basement. I stayed upstairs, was checking out this, checking out that. I went down later in the night, took some stills with the IR. I did not feel, air quotes, anything down there, but who knows? You never know. The location has got a lot of, like most of these, a lot of contributed artifacts. I was running a back-mounted DR, yeah, back-mounted DR. That would be a trick. Interesting. Back-mounted body cam, as I often do. I know a lot of you are aware of the back-mounted footage that I got from the May Stringer house. That's what got us on the Discovery Network in Germany. Yeah, Germany, crazy, right? So I'm really curious to see just what, if anything, we got picked up from back there. So anything else I want to touch on here? It's a cool little location, plenty of parking on the street. I recommend you checking it out. As a museum, it is open noon to 4, Thursday through Saturday, open Memorial Day to Labor Day. So I'm giving Kewaunee County Dale Museum a plug here. Get up there, check it out if you're in the area. It's worth checking out. There's some cool stuff in there to look at. They've got one military room in there. Military related kind of stuff, but some medical stuff and some other stuff too. Just cool stuff. Over the time, I've grown to appreciate that stuff more and more. I'm going to give a final shout out to Hannah and to Jamie. I'm glad you were there. It was so good to see you. There's few people that I enjoy having on investigations. Some people think I'm a big a-hole for that, but just I got to go the way that brings us the most interaction, and less is more. That being said, be good to each other. It's the only thing we got, okay? Just be good to each other. I know it's not always easy, but good. Do it anyway. Be good to each other. Don't think things so personally. Skip the attitude. Be good to each other. We will be posting things as they come up, as always. If you don't catch it on the page, go over to YouTube. Once again, please give it a like. Give us a sub. That being said, peace out.